We are live, ladies and gentlemen. I have a great surprise for you. This is my friend Aurora. She is coming to the Valley of the Sun on the week of October 13th. She'll be here giving a lecture. And I wanted to bring her on because she has, I've been talking about the transformation of consciousness and elevating our soul, our vibration, getting healthy, our instrument first. But she's going to bring in a little bit more of a cosmic and kind of out there. Well, that is perfect for everyone on planet Earth because they've been waiting for the alien invasion. And maybe Aurora is part of that. Maybe not. Maybe I'm a part of that, right? And so without further ado, Aurora, please introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about your mission here on Earth.
Thank you so much. Thank you for having me on your channel. It's wonderful to be able to be connecting with you and learning more about your journey and what you've been doing here. I wouldn't say I'm part of an alien invasion, all right? I'm totally a positive, benevolent, and let's say invited guest, not someone who is here. But your planet has been invaded, and I'm not afraid to talk about that very, very openly. I've talked about that for a long time, but my basic self-description is I call myself a galactic walk-in. And if people wonder, like, what am I doing? I'm literally walking on a treadmill right now. And that's why you might see me moving slightly. I do that during all of my videos and electronic stuff now. But what is a walk-in? That is when a person has, rainbow lasagna, you got it. But you might want to know, what is rainbow lasagna? Wait, because someone in the chat is wondering. This shape, and the shape, you see it back there, and in all of the epicenter of my work, this shape is called flying rainbow lasagna. And it is an interdimensional portal shape, and it is a genetic portal. I'm going to put it down so that I can gesture properly in order to show this to you. It's a movement of your DNA. So basically, I came into this body slightly over 20 years ago when the original occupant had not only a brain injury from suffocation, but also what you would call a directed energy weapon attack by forces that are very evil and demonic. And I came in order to rectify the time field, keep this body alive, take up the mantle of this life and keep it viable, and then also inspire and inform humanity about what this shape is. You could call this a higher dimensional Taurus or a hyper-Taurus. And it's a shape that I innovated and has given me greater capacitation and greater degrees of freedom. But it's not only for me. It's not something that's proprietary that only I do. You could think of this as a new melody or a new song that is able to be played with the piano strings of your body, of DNA. And that I'm the innovator, I'm the songwriter, but I bring it here as a gift to humanity so that you can also take the song and run with it. And the aspects of it that are profound and liberating are to be able to transcend the genetic limitations that were programmed into human DNA in ancient times. And not only once, like, I got a lot of bad news for you guys. You've been genetically modified against your will, not only once, but many, many times. And none of it was for your uplift. All of it distanced you further and further from your own gifts, from your own divinity, from your own empowerment, and has brought humanity to this level of being mortal and very vulnerable to disease and not fully in remembrance of your own divine powers. And so what flying rainbow lasagna is, initially, it is a oscillation, a tool that I am able to use in order to be here in this body. I have a somatic cellular body, just like all of you guys do. And I also occupy a place that is beyond what is the limits of time space. You can tell my word, I'm starting to get a little shifty on my words here. It's a little hard to describe it, but it is outside of reality. And that I've even found people have done some writing on what my Aurora collective is. So I'm Aurora. I'm part of a consciousness collective. And people here, you've even written about me and who and what I am. It's a grouping of consciousnesses, because when I first started to come here and I would share who I am with people, because I would say, I'm not from this world. And they would ask, what planet are you from? As if I'm from a space-time coordinate that you could point to in the night sky. But I'm not from a location in time and space. I am from a level of consciousness that is a waveform presence that travels on the network of the sun and the stars. And I'm there at the same time that I'm here, which is, I know, a lot to comprehend. And also, it is a lot to juggle at the same time because I do all the same things in solidarity that all of you do. I have a car. I pay my car insurance. I, pay my rent. I have a phone, clearly. I have apps on my phone. I do all these things. But I've had to learn how to do those things from first principles. None of this was normal or natural to me, and I was sharing with you even in our little intro phone call of getting to know each other. Like I didn't even know about food coming here because where I come from, you just eat pure life. I did not know about food. I did not know about nutrition. I did not know about the microbiome in my body. I had so much to learn about what it is like to be in a physical presence. But all of this I'm doing in problem solving mode because the reason why I came in and the impetus and my motivation for being here was from the higher dimensional galactic perspective, I could see that there was a great deal of injustice and peril. And this was all the way back in 2001 of if I didn't do something to act not only in terms of this particular life that was being diminished and cut short very, very unfairly, the entirety of your whole entire your species and your planet and DNA and consciousness itself was imperiled. And the analogy that I use is if you have a sweater and it's got like a little moth hole in it, and then the moth hole gets bigger and bigger and bigger as the moths eat more and more and more of it, at a certain point, you lose structural integrity of the entire sweater. Like the entire thing pulls apart or stockings run or whatever it is, because essentially your lives are woven together. Events don't just happen as the weird, random, discrete things that are not connected. Events are woven together in a very, very complex time tapestry, and it gives a sense of solidity and structural form to what is happening in the world. And if you don't have certain things, if certain things don't happen, there's no causality structure. This has to happen and connect to this and connect to this and connect to this in order to have reality be reality. So I came into this body not just to keep one person alive, but really to respond to the imperilment of the fabric of time, space, and consciousness, because there needed to be a big rectification so that humanity remains a viable species, your planet remains a viable container for consciousness, and all consciousness is connected. This is not just you guys swimming around in your own private kiddie pool. This is you being connected to a much, much larger ocean of consciousness or awareness. And so a tool for me to be able to inhabit this body, do a lot of restructuring because I had a lot of neurological damage to overcome, but also for each one of you to apply to your own lives. That's why I say it's like genetic music. There's a song you like, maybe a band wrote it and they played it first, but you can learn that song and you don't just imitate it. You take it, internalize it, and make it your own. So these genetic freedoms that I am able to do in this body, everything from, like I said, overcoming neurological damage. So clearly, I walk, I talk, I make music, I make artwork, I do all these different things. All of that would have been completely not possible. Like the body would have been in a vegetative state if I didn't actually, do all of these complex transformative maneuvers. But so much more in terms of being able to supersede the bad news, the genetic blockages, the things that were placed into the human container that
Let me stop you for 1 second. Do you have a pair of these?
You want me to put on?
Well, I want to see if we can get the sound a little bit more resonant.
Good.
And then
Let
in the
me get it.
meantime, guys, drop a comment in the box. Let me know where you're tuning in from. Again, Aurora is definitely has a lot of very powerful things to say, and it's pretty out there. And so if you have some questions, help guide us, because we're going to ground it into the third dimension and how it all applies to you guys in the here and now through the portal of health. Thank you, Rose from Florida. Good to see you. So yeah, drop a comment in the box. Let me know where you're tuning in from, and we can open it up with a little Q&A. But she has a tendency to go on, and rightfully so. She talks some really good stuff. I mean, I've been mesmerized. I've been listening to her for the last day or so, And she's coming to Phoenix. If anybody wants to see her, she's going to be in Phoenix on the 13th of October here at the Giving Tree Cafe. And I'm going to have her probably on my Instagram as well in the next couple of weeks. I've been looking for people to play with for, many years, and she seems like a pretty extremely interesting person that has a lot of information. Let's hear how you sound now.
Sound check. Check one. Is that any better for you guys?
Yeah, that sounds pretty resonant, a little bit
Good.
better.
Good.
And so keep going. We got Las Vegas. All right, drop a comment in the box, guys. Let us know where you're tuning in from. It helps build the algorithm. Please share it, like it, whatever. This is brand new technology where we can share double screens here on YouTube. And so I appreciate everybody tuning in. Go ahead, Aurora. You were going.
I don't actually remember what I was saying. I have to kind of get back on track. And I think it's funny when you say that I talk a lot, because I do, but I wasn't always good at talking about things. I used to just communicate with pictures.
Well, good. I mean, I talk a lot too, and sometimes, which is good, but you have a lot of very interesting things to say. And yeah, well, here we are. I mean, we were talking about blue light because you commented on my glasses. We're talking about genetic mutations. We're talking about the challenges. So we've had, yes, Aurora is on a treadmill, which I advocate walking. And this is a walking desk treadmill.
Yeah.
And so they're very great if you guys can afford one. They're awesome, especially if you're on your devices. And so I think it's very important because it seems so challenging on the planet, right? You guys are not alone. Challenges are real. There's frequency that they're hitting us with, these cell phone radiations, microwaves. We've got poisons in the atmosphere. My personal mission is to raise human consciousness and change all systems. My vision is clean air, water, soil, and equitable systems for all of mankind in my lifetime. I'm here to bring that forth. And she will talk about the waters that are in your body. And I talk about this too, the waters that are in your mind, the waters that are in your cells. And so these are all sacred elements, and we've polluted and poisoned them. And so she's going to speak a little bit more clearly so we can understand that the basic attack. So how would you phrase all that? The attack, the genetic mutation attack, genetically modified, and how important that is to the rest of the universe, the all.
You know something? Your planet was invaded a very long time ago, or a concurrent time ago. What people remember here as a mythological state of being called Atlantis or Lemuria, but your planet was also hard invaded about 5 years ago. So you've got two different things. Like, I came in 20 years ago with Flying Rainbow Lasagna to supersede these genetic blockages and bring some degrees of freedom to humanity, teaching people through art and music. And then I've been here while you guys, along with you, the boiling frog scenario. They put up a lot of cell phone towers. They did a lot of the nanotechnology, wetware, self-assembling, artificial neurology and fascia systems that have been unwittingly and unwillingly installed in the human bioform that has nothing at all to do with your divine plan or what your body is actually made for. I call that an invasion. Like, because you jokingly said, like, maybe I'm part of the alien invasion. I'm like, I'm an invited guest, but this other crapola, that's what I lovingly call it, the poop crapola. And the stuff that's the persistent aerosols in the sky, I call it the sky poop, comes out of the sky anuses. That this stuff is totally non-terrestrial technology. Because nano, the size, the description of a particle of matter that is at the size of nano, your current level of objective materialist science straddles the definition between what you consider to be matter and energy, or the potential state of what comes into being as matter. That stuff that is at the nano scale is so tiny that it's almost tinier than you can define as matter. And that is what has been coming inside of humanity. Again, non-terrestrial technology being deployed on your planet, coming inside of the somatic cellular body and forming these artificial neural networks that are literally for mind and behavioral control. So there are some things we cannot say on this particular platform that we are sharing on live. So I also jokingly refer to these things as the unmentionables. Like, I clutch my pearls. Like, we cannot talk about these things. It's too untoward. We have to be polite and keep our pinkies up. But you guys know what I'm talking about. And some of these are subcutaneous pollutions that go into the human body, and some of them are aerosols that are inhaled. All of this is an affront to DNA. And this is why does this matter? Why is this big? Because again, not only in terms of the events on your planet are not just discrete to your planet, you're connected to a much, much larger continuum of consciousness, but DNA is an antenna. Your DNA doesn't just describe the shape of protein structures in your body. Like, what is the shape of your earlobes, or what is the shape of your elbow, or something like that. Your DNA is an antenna of consciousness, both a receiver and a sender, and it is non-local and it acts across time. So that means that what you do to one little thing of DNA over here doesn't just stay with that little thing of DNA. It is connected to all DNA everywhere. And in this world, you have had a lot of degradation of DNA. Like I said, the original ones were genetic modifications that took human beings from their exalted state of being immortal, what you remember as a mythological time when everyone were gods and goddesses, and you might have been 12 feet tall. And of course, you didn't eat physical food like avocados and hamburgers, like you ate pure light and drank crystalline waters and, bathed in literally starlight. And that was how your body was sustained. And you contrast that with this present human form where, yes, like you must eat like potatoes and you must mash them up with your mouth crystals and ferment them in the cauldron of your belly in order to be able to access energy. And just as a walk-in, that was mind-blowing to me and took me a lot of time to be able to encompass the truth of that and accept it. Like, okay, you're gonna have to eat physical food and something's gonna have to die in order for you to stay alive. This is a completely different world, the world of mortality. But then on top of that, within the past 5 years, you've had another degradation and another sense of diminishment of form and removal or distancing of your connection to your own divine presence. Because I always say this too, spoiler alert, like you're God. And you're on this journey of remembering and really knowing and exploring the truth that you are God. But these things that have happened to humanity over many millennia and more recently are things that cause an amnesia, a forgetfulness, and a distancing that you don't even know that is what your true state is. And humans live in a false story realm where they think like you think you're just some stupid guy and you drive to the store and you are buying coffee or coconut milk or something like that. But you're actually an exalted being having this experience of creating matter in every moment and being hugely empowered, a contributor. You are a contributor towards reality structure, not merely a stupid actor or actress on a stage, being forced to go through events and do things in an unconscious way. So everything that I have been teaching about in terms of Flying Rainbow Lasagna is meant to remind and empower you about your true exalted state. And then the work that I do over the past 5 years, I'm definitely defining myself as a freedom fighter. I am the antithesis of this agenda that has been going on, that is an anti-human, anti-consciousness agenda. Words clearly fail me. Intending for your total disempowerment. And there's been an intention for your total enslavement, your total diminishment of form, to make humans basically live in an augmented reality and then be uploaded, just schlumped off into a virtual reality. The good news is that that's not going to happen, but it takes a huge amount of effort for that not to happen. So we do have in the Venn diagram of our work here, of what I do and of what my lovely host and collaborator here does, is the sense of focusing on personal health. Like, what are the things you can do in your own body that are empowerments? Because I can talk a lot about the injustices and the difficulties that you face, but I will always come up with solutions. And part of what I'm doing is I'm here in solidarity with a body form that is similar to what you have. And I figure out what works for me. And then I also figure out how I can teach and help and share others to be empowered similarly. So I'll start off like one thing, it's excellent that you're wearing the blue light blocking glasses, because the blue light itself is an assault on the pineal gland. And whatever is in the sky right now, there is the natural sun, but then there's also some artificial, just sometimes call it the sky light or the bright thing in the sky. Like there is something that is in the sky that is not the natural sun, that is a source of light that is non-nourishing, and it is false light, but false light is an oxymoron. I hope I'm not talking too much. False light is an oxymoron because it's like saying non-nourishing food, but you guys do have something here called junk food. So you can think of the stuff that's in the sky that is bright stuff that can certainly hurt your eyes, but it's not the nourishing, true light that is information and pure consciousness and sustenance that comes from a higher dimensional benevolent substrate. That is what light is. And spoiler alert also, like you are all light beings, and light information and divine presence is the nature of who and what you are as being. So we have this stuff that is not real light in our world. And this goes beyond the sense of illusion as it was talked about, like in the Hindu empire, they talked about Maya and the realm of Maya and the realm of illusion and spiritual truth. It's like, yes, like you are submerged in a realm of illusion, and that is spiritual truth. But beyond that spiritual truth, there's something that is going on right now that is an invasion of the actual retinas of people's eyes. You breathe in these little tiny particles that go into people's retinas, optic nerve, optic chiasma, the place that interprets reality structure through one's eyes. See a false reality. And that this has been going on really, really strong for the past 5 years or so. And the past 3 years, what everyone calls the pandemic and post-pandemic time, this is a time of total lies. Like everything, what you cannot believe what you see. That's that phrase, seeing is believing. You cannot believe what you see. What you see is in large part a fabrication and an illusion with a little bit of truth sprinkled on top. And that makes it very, very difficult to navigate reality structures. And all of this is happening as humanity is poised on the precipice of something really amazing, which is ascension. And ascension is remembrance of your God self and reclamation of your empowerment state of being like, wait a minute, like I'm God and I'm making all these things happen and I'm generating reality. I can generate cool, good, fun, nourishing, uplifting stuff. That's the idea of what ascension is supposed to be. So not an escapism or like, you know, a la Christian rapture or something like that, but really the sense of being able to turn this world into a very paradise state. So that if you want to know like what's happened, why did it happen? Planet got invaded, a bunch of things have been placed into the human biology against your will, and the intention behind it has been to hijack or slow down or inhibit that ascension process to prevent a paradise state here in this planet. And so everyone's been kind of like dum-de-dum-dum going along over the past several years, pretending that you're in regular reality. You're not in regular reality anymore. If your life feels surreal, or if you look around and you're like, that doesn't seem right, and that's not what I remembered, and all these things. Mandela effect is a good example of that. And I'll get to your question. Tony Tan 3333 is asking, invaded by whom? Well, okay. These are technically non-beings. I'm going to blow your mind here because you want to say like they're from Alpha Centauri or they're the Pleiadians or who is the invader? But the answer is invaded by non-being. So you guys all exist. You are beings, you're human beings. But then there's a whole giant category of stuff that doesn't exist. It non-exists. And you guys are all here because you passed the audition. Passing the audition means that you are willing to conform to certain divine patterns. And if you can kind of see, I know my lighting's not that great right now, but I do these paintings that are these very extensive pattern harmonic paintings. And that is basically the fabric of time, space, and reality. And it's also the fabric of your body, like how your cells are structured together. Or on your t-shirt, the symbol that you have that includes some of this, it alludes to the cell membranes and how they cluster together in these perfect forms. This is the music of divine life, that you're able to stay alive because you passed the audition, you gestated in a live being body, and were able to be born because you play the right music. and you've been whatever age you are, like pat yourself on the back, congratulations, because you managed to play the song of life long enough to be 18 or 23 or 57 or however old you are. And that's positive. But this other stuff that is trying to come into being, that is the invader, it doesn't play the right music at all. It is not harmonically perfect. It is not harmonically integrated. These are not good musicians. They are not worthy of being in the symphony of life. And they know it, or it knows it, even though it doesn't really have a motivation in that sense. But the motivation is to try to hijack your being, to try to come into being through your observership, or let's call it through the portal of your existence. So this is essentially a cosmic soul lesson that each person must learn about really exerting healthy boundaries, about who you are and who you're not. What are your real characteristics? What is it to really be alive? What is the real definition of self? And then what is the stuff that's not you? And I sometimes rant in my videos against what I call facile new age shadow work, which is kind of the sense, like, you look at everything, you're like, it's all me. It's all the stuff is me, the good, the bad, the ugly, the poop crapola, it's all me. But I'm like, no, actually, it's not all you. Some things are you, and some things are an external reflection of your internal state, and you can learn so much from them, and you can learn so much from the interplay, your own frailties with other people, and how your buttons get pushed and other things like that. But some things are not the real you, including the nano crapola. That is not the real you. And the stuff that doesn't exist, that is being perpetrated upon you as a form of illusion, is trying to hijack your pineal gland, which is your imagination, which is your way of manifesting and creating reality and health in the world. So your pineal gland is kind of like the master conductor. It is a gland in your actual brain that is a physical structure that science can agree on and say, like, we see it in a CAT scan. But it also emanates a force field that is a circulatory system of light that goes all throughout your body. So blocking out the blue light is anti-pineal gland. You should, on every single one of you, on your phone and electronics every day, do the night shift thing where it shifts it from blue light to yellow light, or get one of those glasses, because the more that you ingest blue light, the more that it diminishes your mitochondria, their activity, and the production of a particular hormone-like substance in your body called melatonin. And melatonin is not just, quote unquote, the sleep hormone. It actually is an amazing healing, protective, and cell-to-cell communication signaling agent in your body. And the different technological things in our world are basically assaults on melatonin production. So what are some of the things you can do? Do everything you possibly can to support pineal gland health. And that includes limiting your exposure to blue light, doing everything you possibly can to support melatonin production. And that includes infrared light, which you guys feel as heat. That is that helps the health of your mitochondria. Your mitochondria are light sensitive subcellular organelles. And when you get, so originally I came to infrared light from like the health and fitness direction of like, this is great and it helps you with athletic recovery. You have something to say?
No. Go ahead. I'm listening. I'm going to get on my Swiss ball though.
Good. Infrared light that can help with like collagen production. It helps against inflammation, helps in all these different ways. It also helps your mitochondria to be more effective, little like kind of like swirling jet engines inside of your cells. And your mitochondria are, again, acting at that same level where we would say it's so tiny, it's almost beyond the definition of what we describe as hovering between matter and stuff that has the potential to be matter. That's how tiny this stuff is. We're talking about actual protons and actual electrons in your body at this tiny level. Circulatory system of light, some of which is optical light, some of which is what is called biophotonic light. That is still light, but not light that you would perceive as light with your physical eyes. It's just not at the same spectrum as that. But in all of this, the definition is information. Like if I could just simplify all of this, you're in a sea of information, and information is supposed to be truthfulness. And you're supposed to perceive and ingest that information with your true mind, your third eye, or your eye of time, or your eye of pure insight. And then you're supposed to circulate that truthful information all throughout your body, throughout the entire cellular structure and cellular network. And if you do it right, you're able to eat pure light and not even have to eat like the hamburgers and avocados and everything that's an intermediary of light. That's the potential of what you really are as a human, to be a light being on that level. And you get so revved up in your metabolism and your inner state is moving so fast that physical food is too slow for you and you eat nothing but pure light. That's, I hope I'm like kind of like creating a reverberation. You're like, I kind of know what she's talking about. Like, I remember being that way. That's your true state. And, you know, when you come here, so I came here as a walk-in and I had to learn about food at age 27 or 28 in chronological body. But you guys came here as little tiny infants. You were born out of your mother. And then you had to learn about like nursing and digestion. Little babies in the first year, they have to learn like something weird is going in my mouth and something is happening and something is coming out the other end. Like they don't know. Food is very foreign. The idea of eating food is actually a very, very foreign activity that is not innate to who we are. And you have to get your microbiome going, you have to get your digestion going. It's actually a huge part of what it is to be here in infancy. And what is happening in terms of your spiritual development now is your light body is coming into being, or you're becoming aware of it, into maturity, I should say. So you've always had a light body, but it's been like an aspect of self that you've been unaware of, or maybe has been not sensorially felt, not feeling the senses of it. But now people are awakening their light body. And it's an abstract level of your body. People call it the chakras. It's the many subtle layers of energy that surrounds and interpenetrates your physical somatic cellular body that also has a circulatory system of light. And this is light on the level of just pure information. And so here's a good question. Jessica says, what were you before being a walk-in? And so I'm Aurora. I'm actually a waveform presence. And that means that I'm not usually something that has like two eyes and a nose and a mouth and a face. Usually I am a waveform, the way that like if you look at a song, you know, like an oscilloscope of what a song looks like. It looks like waves that go up and down. That's usually what I am. And I exist as a collective, like not a coordinate in space-time. And I exist as an impulse on the larger stellar network, which is like a large neurology. I'm a thought in the mind of the stars on this much, much larger neurological structure. And that is how experts do star travel. We do not do what I call like a clank, clank metal spaceship. We don't like get into our space suits with like a toothpaste tube full of, you know, chopped up spinach or something like that. And then get a bunch of oxygen to ignite and go, and you kind of blast off and go someplace. No, not at all. We travel on levels of pure consciousness and pure awareness going, each star is a portal. So you'll get this. Oh, sorry. I might, oops. I might have to plug in and might have to take off my thing in order to plug in because I'm going to lose my battery otherwise. So now I'm in conflict because I don't want you to have bad sound quality. What should I do?
No, that's fine. Just plug it in.
Sorry about that.
That's okay.
And I'll try to speak loud so that you can actually hear me.
No, we can hear you. I just think there's maybe there's not enough carpet on your floor to dampen a nice soundproof room or whatever.
Definitely. But actually, I don't have any carpet on my floor, and I do have tiles, and I'm certain that the sound quality is not that great. So apologies. Thank you guys for your compassion. My non-ideal auditory environment. I feel like I'm talking a lot, and I want to make sure that I'm not talking too much.
Well, you know, let's just, I mean, it's fascinating. I've been listening to you. Somebody sent one of your videos the other day, and I don't consume a lot of content, and I'm about an hour and 10 minutes into you, and then we had a 45-minute conversation before we got on here, and then, you know, I think you're bringing a lot of relevancy. I think it's good for my audience because we are in the practicality of taking care of the physical, mental, emotional, and spiritual bodies that we are here in the third dimension, and how the practicality I think a lot of my viewers understand the assault on the pineal gland with the fluoride, with the chlorine, with the blue light, right? And so and then, my philosophy for all my earthling friends is nature heals everything. If we can get into the harmonic systems as much as possible, tune and raise our frequency and vibration, then we can be flipped on to one degree or another. That spreads into the collective, and then we can come to a common agreement that we need new systems, i.e., free energy beyond the debt slave system. So, my four major solutions, and I run for president of planet Earth every time they have the old presidential charade going on. And so this will be my third run. And
Good.
nobody ran against me last time, so I'm currently president of planet Earth. So my my four major solutions, and I put them in the terms of hashtag. So it's hashtag free energy to subjugate the oil wars, proxy wars, petrodollar, all the things that oil and petrochemical byproducts and drugs and everything else that the Rockefellers, the oil men of planet Earth, kind of created, and something beyond that. So free energy, 0 point technology, cold fusion, whatever the mind can conceive and believe, it can achieve if you just call it forth. And the Wright brothers wanted to fly like an eagle, and everybody said they were crazy. So we can get free energy, the gift economy, which is an Ubuntu word. It's a Zulu nation from Africa word, means contributionism, when all the organisms of human beings on planet Earth naturally contribute our each individual gifts, then we will all uplift each other. There's many burly men that I know that like to swing a hammer, right? And they like to dig ditches. And then there's a whole bunch of women that I know that don't do any of that, don't want to do it, but they cook food, or they take care of children, or they teach children, or they sing music, or everyone's got our very unique gifts. And then from there, self-care education. How do you take care of the instrument here on the third dimension on planet Earth? It's in symbiotic relationship with the Earth. And so teaching that at the elementary level, and also our sexual, procreation materials, our powerhouses of the body. And so self-care education is at the cornerstone, because once you know how to take care of yourself, your side of the street, your real estate, then we naturally want to keep the real estate around us a little bit more clean. And so we can naturally work towards more harmonics. And I like the term biomimicry. Life creates conditions conducive for life. And so this is the metric that I use for saving the planet, or the global warming and the other climate change thing has been hijacked as another tyrannical tool, economically and politically,
Yes.
against people. They're not talking about free energy. They're not talking about changing it. They're just talking about more control. And I came out of the Amazon going, we can't cut this thing down. This is where we get our oxygen from. And so self-care education is a symbiotic relationship, and that will teach us about biomimicry and how we take care of our local environment by taking care of ourselves. And then finally, we got permaculture. Food is free. Well, until we understand the light, which is what you were talking about. And look, I've been nude sunbather, you know, drinking my own urine, activating my own urine through the light, and then putting it on in the sun. And I mean, I've been into fasting for 33 years. I had trouble with my own digestion. And I actually don't like eating that much at all, because it bogs down my energy field. And so for these reasons, that's the dream that I've come up with so far: free energy, permaculture, self-care education, and the gift economy. That is the platform of my President of Planet Earth campaign. So
Well, I think it's a very worthy platform. I support you as a candidate. The sense of free energy is a worthy advice, worthy approach. If I just grab this sculpture really quick, and I can talk with you about the Taurus. So there's been a lot of work done in the past 10 years in your world about comprehending the Taurus. like the donut shape and how that relates to free energy. People build these, this is just a plastic model, but people build them out of copper coils, and it is called a Rodin coil from the teacher Marco Rodin, Rodin. He's an excellent mathematician, and he's done a lot of really good work in terms of mapping the torus and creating a different level of vector-based math. But beyond all of that, if you build these shapes out of copper coils, they start to do weird things, like not only have a magnetic presence in the donut, in the whole of the donut shape, but to emit more energy than goes into it. So humans are starting on this quest for free energy. I'm not critical at all, from a very noble position, wanting to be able to essentially feed your people better, create light, create food, and sustain people in a non-pollution way. But I don't know if you guys remember that movie Contact. It's like from the book from Carl Sagan. In the movie, they get this set of blueprints from a highly advanced extraterrestrial culture. And everyone's like, what is this? Is it a machine? Is it a this? Is it a that? And the answer is, in order to unlock what the blueprints were, they had to come together and learn to set aside their differences and work together. They had to do problem solving. And then it ended up being something that was more than a machine that does something. It was a process for consciousness transportation. And that is what, like I'm telling you guys, spoiler alert, is what you're all going to find out. You begin this journey as a noble search in free energy, just like the quest for fire, a better form of fire that doesn't actually consume or combust anything. So you could essentially have infinite energy, feed your people better. But what's going to happen is you're all going to have to learn to set aside your differences and work together, to recognize that you're not only humans as a human family, but the entire ecosystem, including everything from microbes all the way up to redwood trees and the planet herself. Going to have to come into unity consciousness on that level. And then you find out that there's something that you can do with the torus that is way more interesting and exalted than just get electricity for like 3 cents cheaper in your light bulb. You're going to find out it is a consciousness transportation device. But you have to go through this whole entire self refinement journey, because your value system will change, shift, and grow as you are exposed to higher dimensional consciousnesses, which, again, spoiler alert, are you coming from the future, coming from a different direction. You're going to have to learn about how do you interact with them? Like, what is considered polite in galactic society? What is the right way to act? What is respectful? So here, like if you go to a different culture, in one culture, it is totally polite to slurp your noodles. In another culture, you must never do so, and that's just here on Earth in terms of human interaction. What is it like if you interact with someone from another planet or from another galaxy? What is the polite way to greet them? Yeah, I'm walking on a treadmill, man. What is the polite way to signal friendship? What is considered an aggressive act? Also, let's talk about like when the Northern Europeans came to Meso and South America hundreds of years ago. They were actually very warlike and looking for exploitation, but also they were full of microbes. The Northern Europeans lived in close contact with all of their farm animals, and they were swimming in microbes all the time, but they developed immunity. They brought their smallpox to Central and South America, where people did not live in close communion with their livestock. They had no immunity to smallpox. They totally demolished cultures just by spewing their microbes onto a new continent. Let's say humanity is like, going to sally forth like the Starship Enterprise, dun, dun, and you're going to go forward and seek out new life, but you're crawling with microbes. And if you meet that new life, maybe you're a totally well-intentioned person, but possibly you might infect or infest their entire planet and unwittingly destroy everything that they have developed in terms of their culture over millennia, just because you sneeze or just because, you have microbes in your intestines to digest your food. So everything about unity, free energy, 0 point energy, is the sole recognition of unity consciousness, so that when you start to have these larger interactions across time, it's really necessary to assess, what are my motivations? Like, do I want to go to another planet like just to get a bunch of diamonds? Because humans think that way. They're like, let's mine that asteroid. I want to get some valuable precious metals and prop up my economy. Is that correct? Could the asteroid possibly be sentient? Could you possibly be crossing a boundary by doing the thing that you're doing? Are you bent merely on exploitation? Same thing with 0 point energy. What if you're like, I'm getting all this free energy? And then someone comes along and is like, stop stealing energy out of my dimension. That energy isn't free, you know? The interconnectedness of life. So, greater levels of wisdom must be achieved in order to have this real galactic connection that humanity is thirsting for, and that I applaud. And I'm connected to a whole continuum of good guys. That's what you would call them, really, really highly evolved levels of consciousness that are like, yeah, humanity, like we want you to jam with us. We want you at the cosmic dance party. We're having a fun time doing the things that we are doing at these greater levels of perception and empowerment in the world beyond materiality, which is, like you're working on the combustion engine down here. That's like the essence of materiality. Like you put gas in, you make the gas explode, you get energy out of it. It's very materialistic and simplified. And that's, the level of development that your culture is at right now. We want you at the cosmic dance party, but you got to level up. Just like a debutante ball. Like you have to go to finishing school. You have to become a polite lady. You have to learn to walk with a book on your head. You have to learn the dance steps. You have to learn like what is the right way to do things and what is not the right way to do things. And then you're like ready for your coming out party, your debutante ball, and become a part of galactic society and share all of your gifts and all of your talents, and also like not destroy things out of ignorance or there. Then we also got to call it out too. Like humanity still has some very self-destructive personality characteristics, some things that humans are still working out a lot. And you've leveled up a lot. I've been here for 20 years and I've watched humanity grow over those 20 years. Like you mentioned, the Ubuntu movement, that's evidence of that. Charles Eisenstein, the gift culture, and the Ubuntu movement, because that's what the commodification culture in galactic society is very, very different. In that level of society, energy flows to excellence. So it's not like he who has the gold makes the rules. That's the barbarian value system that's on your planet right now. In the larger levels of galactic society, like if you are excellent, if you're an excellent musician, it's like, here, have an instrument. You're like, you're gonna need this flute because you are good and you need to play. Here it's like, yeah, you're an excellent musician, but this flute costs $5,000. I want you to go dig a ditch and earn your money, and then if you're lucky, you can buy the flute. Like that's a very, very different way of treating gifts and potentials and encouraging behaviors. So when you get to these larger levels of recognizing that your consciousness is in a continuum of consciousness, you want others to succeed because you're like, technically, that's me in a different body. You're like, I want that guy to have that flute. I want that person to have their paints or whatever they need to express themselves artistically. I want that guy to have whatever running shoes to be able to do his athleticism. And you're not like, I hope that guy doesn't run faster than me. I want the gold medal. Like you really want everyone to succeed. So that is the journey from from looking for over unity engines, 0 point energy, into really having to shift the entirety. You got to retetris your brains about how you look at competition, how you look at commodification, how you look at resources, and move into a more expansive definition of what is possible in life and move past self-destructive aspects. Because if we gave you a lot of energy, like a free energy, someone's going to be like, let's build a bigger bomb. This is great. I have an infinite amount of energy. I can do an infinite amount of destruction. And I'm making my face of like the crazy person's face right now. Like it's my crazy SpongeBob face. That is not what you want to do with an infinite amount of energy. But some people are they're still down in that addiction, self-destruction, self-harm. They haven't leveled up. So although humanity's leveled up a lot, you got to level up more in order to be responsible enough. Otherwise, your children playing with firecrackers, and the firecrackers aren't just blowing off fingers in your neighborhood. They're blowing off galaxy-sized fingers in everybody's neighborhood.
Mm. So what do you think? So besides the blue light and the interference with our DNA, where are we at in our maturity level, and what does it have to do with what are some of the next steps?
Great question. I'm just going to cut to the heart of the matter. I think getting past the savior program And you guys can see I wear a little cross, and I'm very much affiliated with Christ, Christ consciousness. I'm a great lover and devotee of the great teacher who was here 2,000 years ago. I think you know him as Jesus Christ. I think that's an amazing person. I think that was an amazing teacher and very great inspirer of humanity. But a lot of that work and original teaching has been taken and inverted and weaponized into a disempowerment program. That is the expectation that someone else is going to fix it for you. And that's called the Savior program. And I think that it's absolutely essential for humans to recognize the great ones who have been here as avatars of consciousness, as inspirers of life to keep you going. Like, like you're running the marathon and someone's like, here's Gatorade, here's Gatorade, like here's a teaching, here's inspiration, here's what is possible inside of you. But also to reach inside of yourself in order to find those potentials, the depth of your own inner potentials, and be able to do problem solving, changing of your social dynamics, improving your communities, healing your own body. And I love that your channel is about healing and self responsibility for your body. Literally, when you heal your body, it radiates outward across time. But then also, you got to also help and fix your entire social dynamic. So I'm trying to get in a gentle, positive way to say, like, instead of waiting for someone else, like, so who are like, and when you're a child, you're like, mommy or daddy's going to do it. Or maybe like the principal of my school, or maybe the Pope will do it, or then maybe Jesus will do it. Like somebody out there do it. And the answer is like, you do it. You do it, but you don't do it alone because that's a crushing burden on your shoulders. But you, humanity, you do it. And also, you saw I was hugging my little dog. Not just humanity, but everything that's alive here right now is here for a mission and a purpose, and for an empowerment to be able to do this really important activity of restructuring reality. So, like little babies that are born right now, they're not just like regular little babies that are like, "Yep, I'm here to, whatever, watch Sesame Street or just have a silly time." Little babies are here. They're like, "We are the cavalry. Like, we are here to help you remember your divine connection, move into greater levels of connectedness, like be in love with life." Like, I'm trying to say a respect for all these different levels of organism, even ones that humans would traditionally condescend to and look at as like, a dog is not very evolved, or a little baby, they can't possibly know anything. They know a lot. So every organism that is here right now, blades of grass are going to be part of the ascension. Microbes are going to be part of the ascension. Definitely dogs and babies, and also so much more. So I think that's part of the restructuring of your expectation, like looking at all of these things as valid forms of consciousness that are already wise and have something, gifts to share. Everybody's got gifts to share.
So, I got a good question because I train entrepreneurs and empowerment and surviving in the debt slave economy that we have here. So you came in, you're a galactic walk-in, and so can you tell a little bit the people of how you create your living and multiple streams of income, and
Yeah.
how you empowered yourself to figure that out?
Definitely. Initially, the concept of money was so foreign to me. I was sharing with you jokingly, but I tell people about this. Like, I couldn't even comprehend. Like, first I had to learn, like, you eat food here. Then I learned keep all the food in a special food room, and you need magical pieces of paper to access the food room. And that was incomprehensible to me. I'm like, what? No. But then I learned, like, okay, like there's a limited number of apples, and then it takes this much money to drive them to the store. I had to learn about all of that, like from the very, very basics of how your society is structured. And Tiger says, "Man, I need more money." I think everybody needs more money. I don't know if there's any billionaires that are watching our little interaction here right now, but almost everybody's like, "Yeah, like I need more money." So I started out as a visual artist. I'm very articulate, but I wasn't always so articulate. I used to tell all of my information or sharings with diagrams and pictures, and started out just being a visual artist. And I even had to learn, like, how do you get across to humanity the concept that something is art, like art with a capital A? You have to like put it in a frame, put it on a pedestal. You have to show them like this is something special. it's not just like whatever, a stick figure sketch or whatever. It's something special. So I had to learn a lot about your culture. And you can see I've got some of these really complex paintings. Now my paintings are really complex, but they went from pretty simplified, watercolors now into extensive. And now I've developed my own formula of paint, and I've painted for like 10 to 15 years. And so I have a good body of work. But I also learned that you have to make things that are accessible to people. And so I do prints of my work. And I also do, wait, I'll kind of tilt my phone down so that you can kind of see, because I wear my clothing. So this is like some of my clothing that's based on my artwork. And you can see some of my artwork in the background there. So I have a clothing line of all like very affordable good stuff that people can wear. And then also I do a lot with music, and have been at least for the past 5 years professionally recording my work and sharing that as an independent artist. And I also do my teachings. My phone is slumping down. I share a lot in terms of like video work, and a weekly webinar series, and I have for over 10 years. But that I try to keep that donation based, because like that's how it is. Like if someone has a great passion they want to learn, I don't want it to be limited. Like, sorry, like you can't be in the class unless you pay me this amount of money. Like you can tell I'm very facetious on that level. I'm like, no, of course, like be in the class and send me whatever amount of donation you possibly can. But your landlord is not a donations based charity. Most landlords are not a donations based charity. So I also do a variety of things that you would call like resume based job skills. I didn't know that I would be good at this in coming here as Aurora, but I'm good at computer stuff. And so I'm basically a creative facilitator. I help people to be able to Photoshop things, upload their music. I work with like helping other artists and creatives to be able to facilitate their work, getting it into like creating Etsy stores and things like that. I'm also a creative mentor. I do one-on-one sessions. And then also I currently run a microgreens business. And this is within the past year that I started that, because like, something, everybody needs food. And our food supply is definitely diminished and diluted in terms of what is available. And I learned all about like the health benefits of microgreens, specifically this stuff that's called sulforaphane. That is a sulfur compound that's in broccoli microgreens, and it helps your blood to achieve the fourth phase of water, so that you become, all I can say is more of like an electrified presence. Your heart doesn't just pump mechanically, but literally an electrical charge helps your blood to flow through your body. And it's what glyphosate breaks down in the body. So you compensate for the glyphosate attacking your sulfur and mineral quotient, because it's a chelation agent, by don't eat glyphosate, but it's in a lot of stuff and in our environment. So you to zeolite to help take the glyphosate out of your body, and then you got to eat stuff that has sulfur. So I run a small microgreens business. I have organic soil and racks and shelves and non-genetically modified seeds, and I grow food for my community. I do all these different things, and then 10 million other side gigs that happen at the same time too. I know.
Well, you sound pretty balanced for someone that's doing all those side gigs. And
Yeah, I think I am. And 'cause so when I'm happy to openly share about my various streams of income and side gigs, because I think that I'm here to problem solve and be a template for solutions. And it would be very different. I joke about this too. Like if I was like floating on an interdimensional cloud, and I'm like la la la, like I'm wearing white robes and I'm floating in a cloud, and I'm like eating an interdimensional strawberry and everything's fine. And I say to you guys like, oh, like you just fix and solve things. Like just do the flying rainbow lasagna and rearrange your DNA and this and that. And you'd be like, Aurora, like it's not that simple, and I have to pay my Geico bill, and I have to do all these other things, and like you don't know what it's like down here. So I'm like, okay, like I am down here with you, and I know what it is like down here. I recognize what you're talking about, the debt slave economy. I recognize the social suppression and the lack of opportunities that are here. I hope you can tell from most of my response is like I generate stuff. Like if there's not a source of money or income or whatever, like I make stuff. So I make art, I make music, I make broccoli sprouts, I build a business, I do stuff. And that's my real message to each one of you. Like, sometimes I've certainly worked like, whatever traditional salaried positions where you're not necessarily making something happen. But whenever possible, find the self-empowerment to make stuff be in control of your own time, be in like an independent business owner, entrepreneur, make stuff happen. And you can do it in a way that is super above board, where you're acting in integrity, where you're not having to diminish your values in order to participate in society. And we form these chains of microeconomy, which is part of Ubuntu, where basically, like, I do tons of barter with people in my community. Like, I will give you broccoli sprouts, like I will give you this in exchange. Like, you find a way to supersede the very oh, it's a good question. I'll answer your question. You find a way to supersede the corruption. Tiger wanted to know how I started selling my stuff and how I did it. So I think Etsy.com is a very positive empowerment platform for small artists and entrepreneurs. And that was literally how I started in about 2017 or so. I found a good online print service where I can do the fabric and the clothing design, make something that's affordable, and then put it up on my online shop and have people buy it. And I do all sorts of like word of mouth, basically advertising for people to get to know it. I'm a walking advertisement. I wear and use my own stuff. And I think also some of the best advertising or marketing approach and strategy is to be authentic. So I actually do a lot of my resume based work is marketing, helping other artists to find their audience and how do I sell my music? How do I get people to buy my stuff? How do I do this and that? And the answer is always like, not every path is the same. There's not a formula, and you must be 100% authentic in what you are. Yeah, I'm still on Etsy. If you guys want to find my work on any level, my music, my art, my anything, just do a keyword search for flying rainbow lasagna. And I spell lasagna with an E on the end. And you'll find all my different stuff. And so I think that in this world, people are highly allergic to what is not genuine. Like, there's lots of stars that are like super fake and they're selling fake stuff and they don't really believe in it. And even the sense of being very salesy and having to say something that you don't really believe in order to get others to sales pitch. That's not what I encourage people to do at all. And that's like being in the music industry. I've never really had like an opportunity, like not like someone approached me and said like with a chomping a cigar, like, hey kid, like we think you've got talent, like sell your soul. Nothing like that has happened to me. But I always avoided that whole world of like the not very genuine music world and just recognizing like it's really not for me. I'm very pleased that there is a world right now. Like I'm on Bandcamp, I'm an independent artist, I'm flying Rainbow Lasagna music. I'm able to make and share my own music without diluting it or kowtowing to the power structure. And that's big. And there was, the whole Me Too movement, the sense of women being asked, sometimes young men also, being asked for sexual favors in order to be able to get some kind of a professional opportunity in the music or art world. And like that was a non-starter for me from the very very beginning. So I was always like, no, don't want to have to circulate through any of those really really distressing things that people proposition you with in order to be able to try to get a gig in this world. So my big encouragement to everyone is like, make your own opportunities instead of going to someone else and supplicating yourself and be like, please, oh please let me be, or let me be a musician on your label, or even let me be an artist in your gallery. Like the gallery scene is so dead because it used to be you had to go there on your knees and be like, please put my artwork on your wall. Like I'll give you 60% of the profits. Just let me sell my artwork. And then at a certain point, it's like, wow, like I can have my own website and I can sell my own thing. And I don't have to have this crazy proportion of profits going to the gallery. And then in the pandemic, a lot of the galleries went under because they literally did not have what they needed to sustain their presence in the world. The entire power shift, everything has shifted towards
Well,
empowerment of the individual.
yeah, I mean, I was in the fashion industry for years,
Yeah,
and there was there was always the sexual proposition on the table, and I got so sick of it, and then I realized, oh, that's the actual gatekeeping, and
got
so
it.
like
Got it.
you're only gonna get so far. Like I thought, wow, I'm a brave young man. I'll fly myself to Milan. I'll give it the old college collegiate spirit. Try it. I put together an amazing portfolio. I kept myself in the best shape I could,
Yeah.
and I moved up to the ladder. I even schmoozed here or there, got some Versace campaigns, only to find out the gatekeepers were like, "Oh, that was so last year." Implying basically, come suck my cock and maybe it can happen again, right? And I was just like, I mean, it took me years to realize, no, that's the game. That's it. You're not going to advance anymore until, you play those types of games. And that just always made me sick. And then the internet came out and
Yeah.
I was like, yeehaw. First, I went towards comedy because most people uh, don't look like me in comedy. And I love comedy. And so I was like, let me go that angle. And then I got a better agent in Hollywood, and that was still all gate kept. And then the internet opened up, and I was like, hey, self empowerment. And then now I realize authenticity is everything. That's the new commodity that's coming on planet Earth.
Absolutely. I really thank you for sharing your personal experience and your personal journey, because a lot of people didn't even recognize, like, it happens to males as well, that both males and females, there's attempted sexual exploitation of, basically, it's of creative life force energy, that there is something that's in what needs to be healed in humanity, the self-destructive, feeling not good enough levels of humans that feel that they have to somehow prey or be a predator upon others to get their youth, to get their beauty, to get their sexuality. That is a very unwholesome dynamic, because when you're at the higher levels of galactic truth, you're like, wow, I'm me. I'm good enough. I'm good enough being me. I don't need to somehow get something from someone else in order to be good enough. So, a huge amount of healing and restructuring of the dynamic needs to happen here, so that those gatekeepers not only don't exist, but, like, why are they being the way they are, from deep-seated insecurities and a sense of unworthiness. And that goes into ancestral trauma, that goes to stuff that is like ancient soul contract stuff. Atlantis and Lemuria, which I call concurrent, but you guys perceive as an ancient or mythological time, when there was an invasion of this planet. And some people got a sweet gig because they're like, I will participate with the invaders, and they got a sweet gig, and you call them the elites. And some people were like, no, I will not. I'm fighting against this. And they sometimes were incarnated here as the untouchables. And those social dynamics have continued onward for millennia. We heal it now in this generation, where the ones who feel that they are the oppressors need to be healed, but also those who have been oppressed need to become empowered and need to be healed. And when I say healed, I'm never talking like kumbaya. You know what I mean? Like hug and kiss people who need to be severely corrected. It's not a acceptance or excuse making of their unacceptable behaviors. Like, none of these things are acceptable. But deep healing is like having this conversation, having this recognition, and then a genuine change and shift in their motivations. Because otherwise, spoiler alert, you do it all again. If you don't fix and approach these things and really rectify them, boop, like, start the wash cycle all over again. And then you get to go through all of these dynamics again. So instead of another negative, reflective time cycle, and most people I speak to are so over it too. They're like, no, we've been through the karmic washing machine enough. Let's fix it in this generation. You fix and heal these social dynamics now, so that then you don't have this thing anymore of like the perpetrator, the predator, the person who is, the victim experience or survivor, and all of these the roles that people have had to play. You get to be, literally, your handcuffs are broken. You're set free. Both parties, all parties, are set free from those very limiting roles.
Well, hallelujah. I pray for those times to come sooner than later. And
I'm with
so,
you.
so I just wanted to remind everyone again, Aurora is going to be out here in the Valley of the Sun, Phoenix, October 13th at the Giving Tree Cafe. She's going to be there October 13th and 14th. I'll be there with my team as well. The Giving Tree is having a health fair, not a health fair. It's just a gathering of souls. And Aurora will be there the night before. She'll be teaching and talking then, and then we'll have you on, and we'll probably bring you on my Instagram next. But I appreciate everybody tuning in. And any parting words there, Aurora? You want to give your website again?
Yeah, you guys can find everything that I have to share at flyingrainbowlasagna.com. It's like a bird flies in the sky, a rainbow, and then LASAGNE at the end, lasagna.com. And that's this shape. This is the flying rainbow lasagna. And I have extensive lectures of over 10 years because the concept of the lasagna is pretty profound. So it's not something that I can easily talk about in 5 minutes, but I have a lot of lectures there, my visual artwork there. I have links to all of my music, and I'm in official places like, Apple Music and Spotify. And also, I'm very accessible. Like, people are surprised. They're like, "You're a person. We can really talk with you." I'm a person. You can really talk with me. I really answer emails. It's part of I call it my cosmic job joy at being here. Like, I am here to be of uplift service, to help people, to answer questions, to talk with you about things. Yeah, thank you. Tony Tan says, "You guys are amazing humans." I agree. I'm very pleased to be in such good company. And thank you for bringing me here onto your YouTube channel to be able to share with your audience.
Yeah, awesome. We'll bring you back again. And hey, Tony, thanks for tuning in. You made it for the whole 70 minutes. And so, all right, God bless everyone, and we'll see everybody soon.
Thank you.